In this segment of MCCTV, you're going to learn about something called the Omaha STEM ecosystem. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And STEM education is a vital component for the future of the United States, preparing young people for the careers of the future. The Omaha area is heavily involved in STEM education, and you'll learn all about it next. I'm Kent Pavelka, and this is MCCTV. My guests are Victoria Novak, MCC's Director of Workforce and IT Innovation. I've got that title right,
yes,
finally.
You do.
And Julie Sigmund, who is the Omaha STEM Ecosystem Director. Good to have you both on.
Thank you.
I'm anxious to learn all about the Omaha STEM ecosystem. And I don't think a lot of people, or there are some people, I'll just stipulate that don't know what STEM is about, for starters.
Right.
But before we get into that, maybe just a word or two about your backgrounds. You want to start, Victoria?
Sure, absolutely. I am the Director of Workforce and IT Innovation, and I oversee the Center for Advanced and Emerging Technologies, so one of the new buildings on the Fort Omaha campus. And we are all about aligning with business and industry to either build or advance the skill set of their current workforce and really come alongside them to make sure that they have what they need as far as corporate training goes.
Are you an Omahan?
I am. I'm a South O girl.
You're South O.
Yes,
Very
I am.
good. And Julie, you've been around a long time in Omaha.
I
don't
have
mean
been.
a long time, but you've been in Omaha for a while.
I've been in Omaha for 20 years.
20
My
years.
family moved here from the East Coast, raised our kids here, so it's a great community. And I have been in education, both in the classroom and school administrator, but when we moved here, I looked for a different opportunity and thought that there would be a unique way that we could engage students and get them excited about their future. And went into the nonprofit world, worked with after-school programs, did some contract work in connecting businesses to after-school programs, and then that led me to the director of the Omaha STEM ecosystem.
Very good. So let's start by an explanation. STEM. We're talking about science, technology, engineering, and math. What are the basics of the focus on STEM?
Well, you said it, the content is science, technology, engineering, and math, but where we're really looking at are those essential skills behind that information. How to be innovative, how to be a problem solver, how to take an idea and do something else with it, work in a team. What we are looking at, those are the essential skills, because the students that are in school today, their jobs aren't even created by the time they get into the workforce. So we want to make sure that they have that basic skill, that anything they can take, they can adapt, be innovative, and be ready for the future. And you see that a lot in technology as well.
We do, and over at the CATE building is what we call the Advanced Technology Building. We also have a 9,000 square foot makerspace. And
I was there today.
You were? Well,
Yeah.
it's fantastic, isn't it?
Yes, it
you
is.
walk in with one idea and you leave with a million. And we are Omaha's first prototype design degree program. So it's a 2-year associate's degree where these students come in with competency-based learning, but it's really where the trades and IT come together. And so it's very connected to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics and what they learn. And the outcomes are building these different pathways or opportunities into the workforce that could be a machinist to a graphic designer to somebody who is an entrepreneur and opens their own business and uses the laser engraver and the 3D printers with their business. So there's just so much opportunity there and so well connected to everything STEM is about.
But why the focus on these particular areas? And what's the history of STEM?
Well, I had the history of STEM. Not sure on that one. I'll tell you, I'll address your first question is, we have a workforce shortage in the United States. By 2020, they're predicting there'll be 5 million less positions filled in the science, technology, engineering, and math field. We see similar numbers here in Omaha. And so in order to keep our community, a robust STEM community, to keep it thriving and economically strong, we need to assure that students are coming out with these skills. And so that's what the big talk is about now. We're falling behind in our training and the skills needed in those areas across the country and then in Omaha as well.
Did we kind of just wake up one day and realize that, or how? I mean,
I think that, really technology is moving so quickly. businesses are out there again trying to see what does our future workforce look like, and when technology emerges quickly, they have to be able to adjust to it. So I don't think that it's an overnight thing, but I believe that it is happening faster and faster, which is the key to, you know, what MCC has to offer for your traditional students are your 2-year pathways into hopefully a 4-year degree or into the workforce. And then on the non-credit side, you know, we're trying to maneuver with digital badging and certifications that are industry specific, so we can make sure that that workforce is built in a quick and succinct way, but competency based, where these businesses are really getting individuals in there that have the skill set to accommodate that quick movement of technology and how that's happening in the workforce.
I also think the reason why maybe it's kind of hitting us in the face now is technology has advanced so fast. And it's advanced faster than we have made our changes in our education system. Educators are doing the best that they can right now, and we need to support them, which is why the ecosystem looks at how we can connect businesses to help support educators, what kind of training can we do to get them up and going. And so I think it just has been happening all along, but now with innovation happening and technology so fast. You know, you used to be able to be in a job and stay in it for your career, and even our adult learners are coming back and saying, no, I need to constantly be training in order to keep in the position that I'm in.
Well, how catastrophic or how acute is this shortage of folks with these kinds of backgrounds in education?
Well, I think it's pretty acute, especially, and you may have some different numbers than I have. I was just at a virtual reality and simulation conference at the Med Center, their IXL building, and they were talking with all of this movement in virtual reality and in all that simulation. In 2020, we're going to have 9 million new positions open because it's moving so fast. We aren't even training the 5 million that we anticipated we could train, and so there is a huge shortage, and it continues to get larger every day.
Right, and I think the key, just kind of going back to the Omaha STEM ecosystem and this different stakeholder groups, you know, the whole purpose is to make sure that we can connect people in the community with all things STEM, whether it is somebody that's K through 12, if it is somebody coming out of college and they are interested in a career, if it's an educator and they want to learn more in this field. I think what the STEM ecosystem has done is they have really brought these groups together. For example, in the Workforce Innovation Division, we have now connected with several businesses in the area due to the relationships that we've built with the STEM ecosystem. We've worked and partnered with UNO and had some of our instructors and our dean, you know, be involved in some of the programs we have there for that exposure. So I really think coming back to the Omaha STEM ecosystem and the workforce shortage and all of, you know, and how technology is moving, it's to make sure that there is this hub where anybody can interact in these areas and advance their mission. Whatever that may be, and do it in a collaborative way, not, you know, breaking down silos and making sure we come together and we support each other with a variety of resources to advance.
Utilize each other.
Absolutely.
Well, that's it. And when we started this in the spring of 2016, we were focused on, we need to make sure that students are graduating, they're not dropping out, they've got, you know, mission, they've got a goal, we're building our own economic workforce. But what we also realized is there were a lot of resources going on in Omaha. Were written up several times in national articles about the resources in the Midwest. But they were operating, like Victoria said, in a silo. And so that's the main goal of the Omaha STEM ecosystem, is to serve as that connector and collaborator and say, hey, this person over here, they can do that high school program, they can do the 2-year program. This group over here, they're going to work with middle school kids. And then we got a group working with elementary.
And the general issue here is to get as many people ready for that 2020 those jobs as we can, right?
Right.
And
locally and
Yeah.
beyond. It's almost, though, as I hear you guys talking about it, as if if you get today, if you get up to speed where you need to be with STEM education, you don't even know if that's going to equip you to do what is going to be needed in a couple of years, you know?
Well, I think that that's why you have to be agile. I mean, that's where, you know, when I, you know, on a regular basis looking at the Nebraska labor markets, trucking generally ends up in the top. You have computer programmers and you have healthcare. almost, I bet every single industry out there has a tech component to it. So I think the key is making sure that we're connecting in a way where we have subject matter experts in these areas that are providing information, again, starting at young ages. Maybe what does the curriculum look like? How are kids getting exposed to different career pathways, all the way to somebody who wants to transition to a new career, or they need to learn a new tech skill set to stay in their current career. So I think that, as far as, where we're at in 2020, it's going to be beyond that. It's just staying agile with the way that technology changes.
We have, just to tell you briefly, there's different committees that work with over 70 people that are working on each different task. And as Victoria mentioned, she's working on the stakeholders and managing our 720 stakeholders and how that they're involved in the ecosystem. But we also have one committee that focuses just on research and evaluation. So what are our markers telling us are we getting closer to closing that gap? Do we have to shift things? They look at it within Omaha, they look at it within Nebraska, and they look at it nationally. So we're always keeping our eye on where is that, because that needle's always moving.
We need to move, but where do we need to move?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we talk about the Omaha STEM ecosystem, we're talking about stakeholders, I mean, a lot of different entities, including public schools,
Yes.
different age groups. So kind of summarize how STEM is organized.
Sure.
Okay, so we are that connector. So we have 6 different stakeholders we work with. So we have our business, we have our educators, which are the public, private, the formal, informal, and the university systems, whether it's Metro or any of our other 4-year degrees. We have nonprofits that are doing a lot of that heavy informal education. Omaha Henry's Doorly Zoo, Fontenelle Forest, Lauritsen Gardens, the Durham. We have our government entity, so we work very closely with our chamber, we look closely with Nebraska Department of Education, Department of Labor. We also look at families and students, and I think I'm missing one.
Museums.
Science centers and museums. So anyhow, we keep all those stakeholders abreast, and we talk and we get their opinion as we're moving forward on that. And what that looks like, it looks like either they sit on committees where we kind of roll out different ideas, and then we send it out to all of the stakeholders, have them give us their opinion on it, and then we form an action plan. We have different types of, one of the collaborations we did with Metro Community Colleges, a math series we do in conjunction with the University of Nebraska Mathematics Department is math with and we did math with a chef here. So it's to show teachers what that actually looks like in the field. We did math
discipline.
with an architect. We did math, so math with an artist is what we're going to be doing next. So we're supporting each one of those sectors as we move forward, and also trying to develop common language, common goals, and some solutions that we can see for the community.
Seems like a multi-headed monster to me. I mean,
It can be.
a lot of
It's
things.
a lot of herding cats.
Yes, yes.
It is, but there are a lot of passionate people that are
There
involved
are very
with this.
passionate people
Right.
that believe very strongly in Omaha, and that we are a STEM robust community, and they want to remain that way.
Do you have to have priorities in terms of the short term and the long term? I mean, in the end, isn't educating the youngest ones probably the most important thing?
It is. I think it's two-tier, though, because you look at these students that are just getting ready to enter the workforce, and how do we make sure that they are entering it into an area that they're passionate about and they like it. But then at the same time, we're working here with those young ones, making sure that maybe we're giving them those skills earlier and that career exploration earlier, so when they get ready to graduate, they have a better picture maybe of what some of that is, as well as the parents.
Yep, I look at most things as cradle to career and beyond. And so you have Your long term, those are your children, really. I mean, so you have activities that will happen right now, but will set them up for success in the future. Your midterm might even be your internships in high school, your college internships, getting them career ready, job shadows in different areas. And then you have your short term, which is your business and industry need. How do we align with them? How do we maneuver quickly? So that way, in the end, we have strong economic development that comes to that, but we're also serving the need of those businesses, and that we're an attractive place for other businesses to come to Nebraska. And I think that, you know, the short, mid, and long term, we look at that in almost everything that we do. We'll continue to build that machine, and it will be well run.
When did this start to get to be put together?
It began, Kent, about maybe 6 years ago, with a group of about 80 people that just kept meeting and saying, this isn't right. I mean, kids are graduating from high school, from Metro, from the university, and they still don't know what they want to do. And are we the best stewards of this education system? Yet we're hearing businesses saying, you know, we're not getting the education we need for our students. So we kept talking about, well, what does this look for? And that's where we dove deep, and we found there was a lot going on. We had gotten a grant, and we looked at what our resources are in the community, but that they weren't talking to each other. And so the two universities felt like, the university and the zoo felt like it was important. At that time, we also had heard a national movement going on, the STEM Funders Network for Ecosystems. We applied to be a part of that, and they said, well, you're not quite there yet. And so that's when the two pillars came up. The UNU Foundation and the Zoo Foundation said, we believe in this, start the work. And so we started our designing principles, our strategic plan. We then the next year got accepted as one of 68 STEM ecosystems around the country.
Very cool.
And we're leading. And every year we do a presentation, and we pack the house this year in California.
What do you mean we're leading?
We're leading in the national ecosystem model. We developed something that I think is unique. You know, an ecosystem, of course, is what each community decides it is. And ours was to go, let's dive deep, let's solve this problem from the bottom up and make sure we work at it. Others say we need more just programs, and they do programs. When we started doing our presentations, and Victoria has done 2 of them with us on the national level, they realized, oh, you're connecting your business, you're connecting your university, you're going out to your State Department and asking them for information. And so they're looking at us as a model for how do we make this bigger and encompassing. So
Good
yeah,
for you,
we're really
because
excited.
that was going to be my next question. Did you have to reinvent the wheel, or was there a model out there that you could help you, and it's just the
Well,
opposite?
there are some models. I mean, we took different, you know, the best of other organizations. You know, we said, how did you set this up? And they said, well, I don't know how you're going to set yours up, but I'll tell you what I wouldn't do again. And so we learned a lot from them.
Well, and I think one thing that you've done very well in building the committees that we have is our committees are representative of those 6 stakeholder groups. So it's not, a good example is we've seen several committees in the nation geared specifically towards, say, K through 12, or what does that pre-K learning look like in this environment, the hands-on. When we did our last presentation just recently in California, we had people coming up to us saying, oh, I wish we had more of this. It was really about, you know, bringing collaborators together. It was about workforce. Everything that we do in every one of those tiers really is about how do you build that stronger STEM workforce for the future, regardless if it's from the K through 12, it's, you know, it's your college program, it's your science museums, it's your healthcare, your business industry. It's really keeping that focus that success looks like, at the end of it, that we are building a strong STEM workforce here locally.
Right.
Success at this point looks like everybody's involved. I mean, you know, my first question was, well, how do you prioritize where your focus is? Because you got to remember the youngest ones.
And I think it's
But now in 2018, you've got to do it all.
Right.
Eventually, you won't have to do it all.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think it's just having that fine balance of all 6 stakeholder groups represented on every one of the committees, so that voice is present.
How has this organization affected MCC in terms of its mission?
Oh, in great ways. I mean, if I were just to go really narrow and talk about our team, It's corporate training. Our goal is to align with business and industry. There are businesses that are part of the STEM ecosystem that because of that connection, we are now helping them solve problems with new training opportunities to build their workforce, taking their current programs and upskilling their current staff by building new curriculum. So that in itself is solving a real immediate need for these businesses. And then I think on the flip side, it's looking at even our math and science department. We have, I need to look at this, Dr. Sibrinson. She spoke at one of the UNO TIES groups, which is
Topics in Education Symposium with the Phi Delta Kappa at University of Nebraska.
So by her going there, and she was speaking about altitude ballooning program that we have and that is part of the education system, it's having those opportunities where somebody at MCC can get in front of another target audience and be a part of another collaborative effort in higher education, that wouldn't have happened if we wouldn't have made these connections here.
It's pretty exciting stuff.
It is very exciting. Yeah, we're changing Omaha.
Yeah, you are.
One child at a time.
Yeah, and a model for the rest of the country.
It is,
to a
yeah.
degree. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there were some statistics, some sobering stats I ran across in looking at this program. Less than 46% of Nebraska fourth graders are proficient in mathematics, and by eighth grade that number drops to less than 38%.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That is sobering.
Well, I mean, there are other stats too,
Right.
but how quickly do we need to turn that around significantly, and how quickly can we?
Well, I think we do, and one of the other organizations we work very closely with, because we don't want to reinvent the wheel, we want to use what's working in our community and build upon that, and we work very closely with the Metropolitan Omaha Education Consortium, which is the 12 school districts and the 3 ESU units, and the universities and Metro. They have set some goals for the Omaha metro community area, 4 goals that they want to achieve in the next 2 years. So we're aligning behind those goals, and when we're going to be supporting those goals. So one of them is to have students literate and their literacy rate above the norm by the end of 3rd grade. They have statistics that they want to increase the math by 8th grade.
It's starting now.
Yes,
So
yeah,
you're
it's
talking-
starting now. Yeah, it's already started.
Yeah.
And so we align with those. They want to make sure that we're addressing attendance, and that's something that we do. We write a monthly article in the OPS newsletter that talks about the importance of coming to school. You can't learn if you don't come to school, and help them with their attendance rate. We also looking at internships and externships. And increasing those. So we look at what their measurements are, and then we help them build that and hopefully close the gap.
Be really interesting down the line, won't it? I mean, so 3 years from now, you've got the 3rd graders theoretically who are doing way better, and then you got to wait until they get through MCC
Right.
to see how much better they're doing,
Yeah.
relatively.
Right.
Than what's being produced now.
Right.
And then, of course, that doesn't take into consideration what industry is going to look like at that
Right,
point.
absolutely.
Right.
And so when you were talking about the short term, the long term, that long term is way out there.
Yeah.
Like you said, we're going to be looking at these 3rd graders at the end of this year, and then where are they, 10 years from now?
Yeah.
Yep, and I think that we'll continue doing our jobs because, again, you say you don't want to reinvent the wheel. There's a lot of those measurements that are happening out there, those evaluations. For the STEM ecosystem, it's how can we continue to gauge where all of the students are and what they even understand about STEM, what they understand about STEM careers, and year over year, how can we look at their understanding of that, and then how can we guide our committees to help the rest of those stakeholder communities provide access and opportunity to students in these areas. And so again, I think that's coming alongside the evaluators of the actual curriculum and the outcomes for the students, and then making sure that everybody understands the access and opportunity that's out there for STEM.
You want to talk about some of the activities and events that you're doing some of these demographics or areas? Focus?
Sure. Like I mentioned, that math series that we're doing with the UNO Mathematics Department. Coming up in January is math with a artist. Then we have math with an engineer at Olson Associates coming up that next month. We are hosting a fall event where we're going to be talking about our, with all of our different stakeholders. It'll be an all-day event. The date has not been set yet. To do action steps for our next year for 2020. What does it look like at a superintendent's level or a school board level? What does it look like at a principal level? What does it look like for the nonprofits, and then for families? What does it look like? And get people used to setting these goals on a regular basis. Oh man, there's just so much, and I didn't bring my list.
Well, that's okay.
No, and I would say that it's not always just about what the Omaha STEM ecosystem is doing. Again, I go back to that connection piece that UNO has a fabulous, their IS&T program has women in IT mentorship. So those are active activities that people can engage with so they can mentor young women to stay in the IT field. There is a robust VEX robotics program that happens in Omaha. There are a lot of opportunities for people to become judges of these VEX robotics competitions. North High School just had one recently in December that, you know, there are middle schoolers and high schoolers, and when you engage with those activities, they stay connected to what that means to their future. So it's really about
Science Metro Engineering Fair coming up. Yeah, so they're Nebraska Science Olympiad.
So as we chat to our viewers here, what are the takeaways? What do you want people to learn about?
One of my
STEM?
biggest takeaways is to get engaged at some level. It can be within your own school. They can go on to the omahastem.com website, become a member, and become involved at the level of just, I want your newsletter, that's all I want, or I want to be more actively involved in something. How can I get my school involved? How can I get my parents involved? What can we do for an interactive science STEM fair for them? So I think that's the first step for the Omaha STEM ecosystem, is to go on the website, look at our work that we're doing.
OmahaSTEM.com. And there's a Facebook page.
And there is a Facebook page, and post. And we also have on our website a whole set of resources, and so we will post other people's organizations because, again, we want to utilize what's already going on in the community.
Yep, communication.
So if they have an event coming up, we'll post it.
And I'd piggyback that. I mean, the first part is get engaged with the Omaha STEM ecosystem. Come join my committee, which is the Diverse and Engaged Stakeholders Committee. And then on the MCC side, if I were to be very selfish, I really think about what does business need, what does industry need, and how can we help, even in the STEM fields and beyond, advance their organization with the skill set of their staff, either on the credit or the non-credit side at MCC.
And that, of course, is something that Metropolitan Community College has done an exemplary job of for a long, long time, connecting with the community, business community, and being about what it is that the needs are demanding, and equipping people to go out and actually be able to do something with a degree, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what it's about.
About a minute left. Anything else you want to add?
No, I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about this. It's a lot of work that we've put into it.
Getting the word out that there's an organization like this that very soon will have national recognition, we're hoping, and be a part of it and transform Omaha.
Very good.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, both of you. Victoria, Julie, appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us for MCCTV. Our goal is to better acquaint you with the mission, leadership, and the reach of the college. I'm Kent Pavelka for Metropolitan Community College.